Good afternoon. I'm Chief James Beer of the Oakland Police Department. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming here today. And as Mo just discussed, I want to address a few incidents that have happened in the last 24 hours. It's been less than 12 days since a subject pointed firearms at our children in East Oakland and other passing residents. It forced officers to unfortunately discharge their weapon. Since then, we've had multiple incidents where officers have been assaulted and the violence has increased. And I want to reiterate, if you come to this city and commit crimes, we will arrest you. Use of force is something we never want to take lightly or resort to. But our officers have the right to defend themselves. So with that, I'll discuss the 3 incidents that have occurred in the last 24 hours. Around 5:30 a.m. yesterday, the 400 block of Perkins Street near Lake Merritt, Oakland officers were dispatched to report of a burglary. When they arrived on the scene, they were confronted by 6 subjects that were stealing a catalytic converter. The officers interrupted the theft. Unfortunately, the subjects jumped in a vehicle and then rammed our officers' cars multiple times. We have multiple leads on this case. We're working with a regional law enforcement department as well as a federal investigative agency, and we expect to make arrests in that case very shortly. On May 7th at 5:30 p.m., officers responded to the 200 block at 24th Street to follow up on an investigation of an arson. The officers located and detained the suspect. During the contact, the suspect violently resisted the officers, causing injury to one of our police officers who had to be transported to the hospital. He was later treated and released. That brings us to what occurred this morning. At 3:15 a.m., officers were working directed patrol in the area of the 1200 block International Boulevard. Shortly after they pulled onto the scene, they conducted a traffic stop on the 1200 block of 9th Avenue. During the stop, officers observed a firearm. Both officers attempted to detain the sole occupant of the vehicle, which is a 21-year-old male from the Sacramento region, at which point he resisted and attempted to flee with his vehicle. Both officers were dragged, and eventually the vehicle crashed next to a parked car, pinning one of the officers between the suspect's vehicle and the parked vehicle. The officer discharged his firearm and struck the driver 1 time. Additional officers arrived on scene. Both officers were transported to a local hospital, treated, and are listed in stable condition. The driver of the vehicle was removed, and officers performed life-saving measures on this person. He was transported to a local hospital, and he was treated, and he's currently also in stable condition. These incidents underscore the inherent dangers of our profession and what our officers face daily. The safety of our community members, our business owners, our residents, and visitors remains the Oakland Police Department's highest priority. We're committed to protecting those we serve, but also ensuring the women and men of the Oakland Police Department go home safely at night to their families after every shift. With that, I'm available for questions.
Which officer fired the shot? Was it the one who was pinned, or was it, you said, I guess one was pinned and one was dragged? Which officer fired?
So both officers were dragged, and the officer that was pinned between the suspect's vehicle and a parked vehicle is the one that discharged their service weapon.
I'll take it. There was 2 officers taken to the hospital. We were hearing that they have been treated and released. Can you comment on that? Do you know?
So the officers were treated and they were released.
Thank you.
Chief Beer, can you kind of explain more about how these officers were dragged? Were they holding onto the car? What happened with that portion of it?
So unfortunately, there's still interviews that need to be conducted, and I can't get into the details as to what occurred specifically. We still have to go back, re-canvass. We've got to contact other potential witnesses, and we still have to finish up with some additional interviews of people that were involved.
Yeah, Yeah, Goff from Channel 5. Two-part question. The first part, given that you mentioned 21-year-old man from Sacramento, does this have anything to do with the prostitution problem that happens on International Boulevard? And the second part of it, I know you guys have said that the crime numbers have dropped, and we've seen it. It dropped significantly. But with these violent incidents, I mean, a lot of folks are saying that Oakland is still a very dangerous place. Your reaction to that as well. So two-part.
Okay, so for the first part, I can't get into specifically the intention of why the subject was there. I can tell you that neighborhood has experienced violence related to human trafficking and prostitution activity. We have a 21-year-old male that came from outside of our city to that location with a gun. The specific details after that, I can't elaborate on it because that's also going to be part of the investigation. There's additional follow-up our investigators have to conduct. We do have some more information that was gleaned already from the preliminary investigation, and we are working also with federal authorities to see more as to what was going on there.
Henry?
With regards to the violence
Right.
part,
Yeah.
crime is going down, but I understand that if you're ever a victim of violent crime, it doesn't feel right. But the crime's going down because of all the hard work of the women and men of the police department. And as we've been conducting some pretty serious operations, proactive police operations in areas where our community demands us to address these issues. And International Boulevard's a perfect example. Crime's going down because we're arresting people that are engaging in the crime. If you look at the different incidents that we're discussing today, it has to do with auto burglaries, arson, and potentially, like we discussed, possibly human trafficking. We're not going to stop, and we're going to remain proactive. And the police officers that serve this community are fully dedicated to make sure that we make those arrests. We're going to continue to make those arrests, but when you're more proactive and you're making more arrests, there's more likelihood of, unfortunately, bad things happening. And we're not going to stop. Our goal is to continue to reduce crime on levels that we haven't seen in decades in this city. And that is our goal. We're here to serve our community, and we're here to keep our neighbors and our families safe.
Henry, go ahead.
Chief, do you know if the suspect was known to be armed with a gun before the stop, or the presence of the gun was only known after you guys came up and described plain view and confirmed he didn't 417 brandish the gun?
I can tell you at this point that the gun was in plain view. I can't go into the specific details of the case itself, just to protect the integrity of the case, and we do have additional interviews to do. I don't want to prejudice any future interviews.
We'll take two more in the back.
Yes, I know you mentioned that they are in stable condition. Do we know the extent of the injuries, that they'll mild injuries of, they have a broken leg or something, especially the officer with repeat? And do we know any information about the gun? Is it a ghost gun? It was registered? Did it has like any registered incidents that were used to that gun or being investigated?
You guys are using all your questions for multiple questions. I love it. I don't fault you for it at all. But I will tell you this, so I have to go back. So for the first incident, the officers sustained moderate injuries, complaint of pain for their neck and their back that were rammed by the individuals that were trying to steal a catalytic converter. The arson case where the officer was hurt, they were treated at a hospital. Unfortunately, their injuries were going to require additional efforts. So they were treated, and there's follow-up that they'll need to conduct. The two officers from this morning, thankfully, the officer that was pinned, his leg was not broken. I can't really get into further details of that. And then what was the other?
I mean,
The
the
gun,
information
right?
about the gun.
So, I can tell you that the gun was reported stolen. I can't get into too many more details.
Just real quick, what was the initial traffic stop for, and where was the suspect shot?
So I can't get into the specific details of the traffic stop and then the location of where the subject was shot. Again, it has to do with additional interviews that need to be conducted.
All right. Thank you all.
Was there body cam footage
Yes, there's body camera footage.
from the two officers?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.